outlaw. I'm not a cop.
Man, I'll tell you a funny story
Nothing
about that.
against
I got picked up by the cops the other day, and he came to the door of the car, and that's the first thing he said to me. He said,
What?
before you say a word, anything you say will be used against you. And I went, oh, great. That's a great start to the conversation.
Oh, my God. I got to hear about this story. Okay, we're live now. Welcome, everybody, on the live and the replay. We got a new friend, Gary Mooney. I never got to know him before, but I felt his energy. There's a story behind it. We'll talk about it in a second. Right now, I'm going to put on our intro, and we'll be back in a minute, 19 seconds. Get
the extra hand in the moment, Tom.
Hang on.
Okay, I'm bothering you now.
Yeah, we're good. Wait till the music's done.
I can't hear any music.
Oh, you can't hear the music?
No.
Strange.
Well.
Oh, it's because of your stream.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a long way. I mean, you know, we're like an island. It's like a big island. It's like, we don't have any land connected to anybody.
Hot mic warning. The microphone's on. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
and vice versa, Tom. I'm recording this.
All right. Let's get down to it. You couldn't hear the music because your stream's not strong enough. But anyway, we were playing the intro. But right before the intro, let me introduce you to everybody. This is Gary Mooney. I was on a live 10 days ago, and he asked a very potent question, and I immediately recognized his energy. And he thought I was, and then I made a comment because I never make comments on anything. And I thought I got a comment, and then he thought I was like, he wanted to know if I was upset. I said, no, I'm not upset. So then I said, why don't you come on the show? Why don't you come on the show? And here we are, Gary Mooney from Australia. But before the show started,
and I'm here. God.
Yeah. I was going to say before the show started, I said we're live, and anything you say can and will be used against you. And he said, I got picked up by the cops the other day. Now he's in Melbourne, so this ought to be a good story. He said, I got picked up by the cops the other day. And the first thing he said to me was, he walked up to the door and said, anything you say can and will be used against you.
What are you supposed to say, Well,
I know.
So it's funny, man. I've had dealings with cops about 3 times in the last 3 months. I haven't done anything, but I've just, I'm in Muso, man, and I was playing my guitar at 3 a.m. in the morning, and a neighbour reported me. So I was playing away, and there was a knock on the window, and I opened the door, and it was 2 cops, And he said to me, can you turn the music down? And I just said to him, I'll turn it off, because it's an electric guitar. I said, I'll turn it off. And he said to me, no, I can't tell you to do that. I said, oh. He said, but can you turn it down? And I said, no, I'll turn it off. I don't want any problems. I'll stop playing completely. And I ended up talking to these guys for about 30 minutes, Because, look, I'm 60 years old, man. Most cops that are around are, like, in their 30s. So I've got sons I've got 2 sons in their 30s, you know what I'm saying? So I remember this conversation with the senior cop, and I had a couple of questions. One of the questions I had for him, actually, that come to my mind was, they were walking off, and I think they'd had enough of talking to me. I said, hey, man, can I ask you another question? And he goes, oh, okay. Walks back. And I said, you swore an oath when you become a police officer, yeah? He said, yeah. I said, who'd you swear it to? I said, did you swear it to the Queen or to the government or to the people? And he said, I swore it to the people. I said, oh, that's interesting. Pretty cool on me, But, if you knew what was going on down here, man, like... Well,
no, I do know, because I told you Morgan's originally from there. Her son lives there. Her family members and friends live there. And so she stays on top of it, and I've watched a few of the videos. I watched a hilarious one yesterday. There was a guy that got approached by a cop, and he actually reminds me of you. And he held his ground, man. He held his ground. It was an excellent conversation between him and the cop. But nothing against cops, by the way, everybody. Oneness is oneness. But I want to hear what happened 3 days ago. What happened? You said
3 days ago. What was 3 days ago?
Well, I'm sorry. You said that. Okay, so you've had 3 run-ins in the last 3 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Were any of them quarantine related?
No. I had the police come in the middle of the night when I was playing music too loud, and I got picked up for speeding. That was the cop that said, everything will be used against you. And the other time was that it was about 6 months ago, actually. I'd gone to the dentist and I'd come back and in this house here that I'm in, there were like about 5 or 6 people on my front yard, and they had my dog with them because I had my dog at home. And first thing I thought was they were stealing my dog, So I jumped out of my car to see what was going on. And then I looked at the right-hand window and it was ablaze. My bedroom was on fire, okay? Like just my bedroom window, it was just all fire. So I realized that it was a house fire. It wasn't, they'd broken into the house to get my dog out, But the police turned up for that. And I reckon about 30 police turned up for that.
30.
And
man, you guys have a lot. You guys have a lot of police in Melbourne.
I know, man. I tell you, the ratio is really not great, but whenever there's some situation, there seems to be a big gang of them turn up. I don't know where they come from, man. Like,
maybe they don't have anything. So this is what's happening on the front line of the apocalypse in Melbourne, Australia. Do you get out much? I mean, I know there's been some restrictions,
mate. But no, look, I'm like a whale, man. I breach all the time. I in the last 6 months, my life hasn't changed at all because I reckon on average I'm out about 3 or 4 hours a day, even on lockdown.
You're out and about 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah,
even through the lot. You hadn't gotten stopped or anything?
No.
Wow.
You know what?
See, now this is an example of someone who's changing their timeline. It's like living in a bubble, like Forrest Gump. I mean, I've heard too many stories and I've seen too many videos for someone to be able to go out and walk 3 or 4 hours a day or be out 3 or 4 hours a day in Melbourne these last few months. You got to be living in a bubble. You must.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. No, Todd, what it is. I sort of know what it is, and I was on one of your live feeds yesterday making some comments with somebody to do with the same topic. It's to do with, like, I don't plan to go out, but I'll do what I need to do around home, and then I'll get to a point where it's like I need to go out. You know what I mean? I need to get out of the house, or I need to go somewhere. It's just it's a felt thing, I feel like I need to go out. But if I leave it till that moment of feeling like I need to go out, I'm always protected. Like, put it this way, man, if I organise myself the night before to go somewhere and had that time to think about it, you know what I mean? Like, to think about it, then I probably would get picked up. Yeah. What I'm saying is that what they're saying on the TV, like all the warnings and the rules and what will happen to you, and the reality on the road is 2 different things.
Oh, it's 2 different things. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. We don't usually get in these kind of discussions, but this is a unique situation because this is a place where there's been a more concentrated quarantine than anywhere else in the world. Okay. Exactly. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics, which if we don't look at the literal part of it, like, oh, cops are bad and the government's bad and this and that, and we look at the energy of it, it really speaks to a lot of things. So that would be one of the things that, we could also even look at what's going on over here in America, in terms of the energetics. But one of the things I think we got to look at is what you just said, right? So, like, it seems like, now I'm just putting this up for discussion. It seems like to me that the media portrayal isn't even like, controlled. It's like beyond that. It's like they're trying to bury these stories down our throats. And for instance, in your situation, that there's cops all over Melbourne. Yeah, you can't go out or you're going to get busted. And you're saying that that's not the reality.
No. I'll tell you, man, I can be out and travel maybe, I think the furthest distance I was traveling was about 30 or 40 minutes, from here. Now, I would not see one police car in that time. Wow. Now, there was one time that I went to a centre, like a shopping centre, about 15 minutes from here, and I was actually having a cigarette at the time. I'm giving up smoking, but I was having a cigarette, and there was a woman there. She's a courier, and I said to her, you know, you travel around the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. She said, yeah, yeah. I said, are there any police, what do you call them, like blockades, or like where they stop cars? And she said to me, she said, no. She said, there's only one, and that was on the outskirts of the suburban fringe. I said, why is there none in the metropolitan area? She said, because what they're actually wanting to do is stop people leaving the state, not just pick people up generally, because we've got the borders locked down here. So they had them like in between the city and the borders. That's where they had the blockades.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She told me there was none. She told me there was none around. So
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I think when we look at the energetics of these situations, like what's going on over here, what's going on over there. I mean, like you're getting a version that's being, and I'm not being conspiracy oriented or anything like that. All I'm trying to say is, if we're going to consider the energetics, we can't really look at that because it's obvious one thing's being said and another thing is occurring. And so, like, where does that leave us, right? Like,
well, I tell you what it is, man. I tell you what it is, and I get this with even friends. It just depends on what you want to believe, right? I mean, or who you want to believe. Like, see, I've got friends that, because Daniel Andrews is the premier here. He's the one and the health minister Brett Sutton. They're the ones telling everybody what you're not to do. Now, I can talk to people in shops and friends even saying, oh, Gary, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'd say to them, well, for one, they're not laws, they're not legislated laws, they're only directives anyway. And I've got friends that hadn't. A friend of mine said to me the other day, she didn't go out for 6 weeks out of her house. And she said she put on a bit of weight. And I said, okay, well, 6 weeks is a long time never to go out of your house. But she would have been watching too much TV. I actually said to her, I said, you should throw your TV set out the window, because, I mean, obviously you're watching the TV and you're believing what they're saying is going to happen to you. But the reality for me is I'm out there and it's not the truth, you know what I mean? So I don't believe what they say because I know they're just sort of like fear-mongering. They're just fear-mongering, I mean,
and I think I think that's the thing too, because like even I remember when that kind of first started and there was that blonde, that like 30-year-old blonde-haired lady, not the one that's
the pregnant one?
The pregnant one. And I remember watching that, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. But if we know that everything in the mainstream media has been propagandized, has had a agenda to push or a belief system or consciousness to push, probably going back to the 1950s or 60s, I got to believe that they've infiltrated the internet as well. And you're starting to see some evidence of that in terms of who they're deplatforming and what they're censoring. But I guess what I'm saying is when I looked at that video, I thought, well, this is interesting. Like the guy just happened to have the camera there. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it sure got a lot of press. So anything that gets a lot of views, gets a lot of press to me, you got to question.
Yeah, but also with that woman, obviously, for a lot of people that saw that, it freaked people out, thinking, oh God.
I think that was the point of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
To your point, you said, I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. And you got to think that, okay, if we're going to look at the energetics of the situation and not get caught up in the story, if there is an external force, clearly external, that's trying to put an impression of something, of a consciousness on us, which is fear-based, we've got to consider it. So we've got to consider that. We got to consider that when we look at the energetics of it, so it's not like we can just, I don't know. I don't know. It just,
I tell what you can do. What you can do, Todd, is this is like, I've got a couple of friends that with everything that's happening on the world, like in time, whatever you want to call what's happening, like. Something will be on the news and a friend of mine will say, oh, well, this is going to happen. We're all going to get vaccinated. Da, 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 da. And I look at him and I say, I'm not. And he just looks at me like, what do you mean you're not? Well, because you're the one saying it, dude. You know what I mean? And I said to him the other day, I said, is that what you want? Is that what you want? You want to get vaccinated, do you? And he said, no. I said, well, why are you saying you're going to get vaccinated, dude? Like, it's not even a reality yet. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying to him, see, look, Todd, honestly, man, like my external reality is nothing much more than a mirror to me, because I just see it as my internal world being reflected out onto like, you know, a mirror. And so I said to Brett, because this reality is not even real, you know what I mean? It's actually projected out from me. I said, you know, at the end of the day, man, if you work with it and you practice what you practice, you actually have full control over it. And what I mean by that is that, man, it's never going to happen to me, Brett, Todd. I'm never going to get vaccinated, mate. I know it. No, I know it.
It's not in your field. It's not in your field.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't even think about it, Todd, anymore. I really don't even think about it.
You know, and that's the thing. Like what you're saying it almost like so naturally and honestly. I control I'm creating this reality, and I can work with this reality. You don't dominate the reality. You don't, you don't beat it. You work with it. You know, just because something is presented to invoke fear in you doesn't mean you have to become fearful. You can see it for what it is. So anything.
It depends on. You see, the thing is, like, you know, it's been a long time since I've reacted to somebody. See, like, the thing is, like, you know, people will try to push a belief onto you, and often because you don't believe that. So it might be religion, man, whatever, but they'll push it onto you. They'll just say something. Now the thing is, man, if you're not awake to it, you know what I mean? Like you just hear it and you don't think about it much at all. Then somehow that gets in. What I'm saying is that, you know, to be completely present with somebody and someone says, oh, you know, we're going to get vaccinated. Well, man, I'll tell you, when that comment's made, I'm not thinking about anything else. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're going to get vaccinated, are we? All right. Well, let me just say this. I'm not. This that's you, bro. That's you and your whatever, but it's not me, man. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to get vaccinated. So the thing is, Todd, when you say to somebody, it's not going to happen to me, they can't say anything to you, because it's like, how can they question that? Like, I just say, so what I'm saying is that, you know, you got to, these situations where people are trying to dump their belief onto you, and it's often fear-based, you know, it's often fear-based because it's like, you know, somebody else.
It's all fear-based.
So they might.
It's all fear-based.
They might not have anything like, you know, often people that are doing that to you don't have much going on in their life at that time. So they go, well, you know, I'll just dump something onto somebody to bring them into my reality, or to bring them down a bit, whatever. And it's like, at that point, man, it's like, you know, everything I have in that moment is just push them back, just push it back, you know, like, no. And I do it I even do it with my mother, man. I have to. See, the thing is, man, you've got to do it with everybody. You seriously got to do it with everybody, man, because, you know, you can't be a people pleaser, Todd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's not giving your power away, man, I don't know what is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, to me, where I'm at with it all, you know, as we try to understand this, which we never fully will. I don't know how that's going to happen, but you know, you do find kind of a groove. Like you find a space where you can go out 3 or 4 days in Melbourne in the middle of a lockdown, never have a problem, you know, which is part of your reality, whether the police are out there, there's propaganda, the news media or not. But, you know, to me, it's like I'm finding that the most effective thing is not to engage those people or things that I know what they are, and to actually make that choice in my head. Like, so in other words, like with the vaccination example you were talking about, to me, I would just say to myself, which I know you've said to yourself and you verbalize it, which is, I'm not getting one. So that's not going to be in my field. And I know that sounds new age and that sounds all that, but that's quantum, you know, quantum.
Yeah, but quantum. I just don't, I wouldn't even put a label on it, Todd, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm saying I'm not gonna, it's not gonna happen to me. It's just straight out. It's not gonna happen, man. It's like it's not part of a movement or anything. It's just like, because you know what, man, it's because you get to a certain point of your life where you go, enough's enough, you know, like as far as like, you know, I mean, I remember like being back in school, and you know, there's all these dynamics with all your friends at school where, like, you know, there's a hierarchy of whatever socially, and it's amazing what you go through, you know. But man, I'm 60 years old, man. I've had enough, you know. I mean, I'm, you know what I mean. And I'll tell you, you know, for me to keep going, and what I mean by that, I mean I really enjoy my life, and for me to keep on enjoying it, I'm going to do it my way, man. I mean, I'm going to do. And the thing is, too, you know, I know what I want. I always know what I want, and I know what I want to do all the time. So I just do it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, man, I don't worry about what other people are thinking anymore, because that brings them into, you know, that brings them into your awareness of like where you're second guessing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just to a point now. I do things and it's like, it's just me, man. It's just me doing it. It's like no one else in my mind at all when I'm doing it. And you know what? And it's funny, man, because no one comes near you when you're doing what you do, because
how long have you been like this? Sounds like you have a
really
disease.
Funny. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
No, how long have you been like this? I mean, how long have you had?
I'll tell you what, man. It's funny you say that, because I do sort of I do ponder that at times, because you know what, man. When I was like a teenager, I was very shy, you know, and it's like really weird that I'll tell you what happened, man. I've always sort of been able to get close to people, meaning that like I don't know what it was, but maybe I used to get drawn into their field. You know what I mean? Like just get drawn into it. But the thing is that, you know, I'd always be, you know, hanging out with a particular individual for a period of time, like my best friend at the time. And what would happen would be I'd get to know them quite well. And all of a sudden, you know, there would be like, you know, who's dominating who, like, you know, who's controlling the situation. Because often when you're young, that's often, you know, with a mate, you know, like your mate will be going, you know, we're going here, we're going there, and you're going, oh, okay, you know, like you just sort of like they're controlling what's happening. But I got to a certain point where it was like, I'll tell you a story, man, and this is what just came out for me now. This happened to me twice. The second time, I was living in India in 2007, and I got back, and I was then living in a place called Byron Bay in Australia, and I came back and I ended up with insomnia, you know, and it's just started like with broken sleep, and then it got worse and worse and worse. It got to a point where I wasn't sleeping through the night at all, and that went on for 3 years. I wasn't asleep for 3 years, right, from 2008 to 2011. And people go, well, you must have had micro sleeps. No, I didn't even have that, man. I was just awake, and like people say, well, you know, that's you die, you know, whatever. And well, you don't, man, because I didn't. The thing is, and I looked it up on the records of like the longest someone's been awake is 8 days, but that was not with insomnia. That was just trying to stay awake. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that, you know, to go through 3 years of that, like going through that sort of abyss, and honestly, man, every second of that time was complete paranoia and fear. You know, like you got no idea what's going on because you got no memory or short term, but you got nothing. You just sort of like frozen, like in time. And I got out of it. Like it's a long story, but I got out of it. But the thing is, man, you go through something like that, and then you get to the other side, and you go, my God, like, you know, like I can't believe that I'm actually, you know, it was never in my reality when I was had the insomnia. It was never in my reality that I'd be sleeping again. You know, it was like I just thought this is it. You know, like, and then all of a sudden you're back, and it's like not only you're back, you know, you spend a few years repairing yourself because you know your body takes a hit, you know, and a lot of things like get worn down, and you know I was very unwell. But I took time to, you know, to get myself well. I didn't force anything. I just, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years after that insomnia, I don't know, man. And I look back on it now, and I just think that, like, you know, when I was in Egypt, you know, and I had a beer. This is in the mid-90s, and you know the slogan, I'm sure, but on the label of the beer, it said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," you know, and it's true, eh? You know,
yeah,
you know, it does. I mean, like you go through things that, like, you think, my God, this is going to kill me.
So,
and then it doesn't kill you, you know?
So what happened after those 3 years? I mean, you must have you must have expanded in some way to go through that. You must
Well,
have
I'll
had
tell you
some
what,
type
man.
of.
What my memory is of that space is really not. I mean, I couldn't trust myself with any decisions, you know. So I ended up coming back to Melbourne. That's how I ended up back in Melbourne to be with my family, because my brother actually said, you know, come down. Because, you know, I'll tell you what, man, when that started to happen to me up in Byron Bay, you know, all my friends just split on me, man. They you know, because you'd ring them and go, you know, because, you know, you weren't yourself, you know, and it's amazing. You're like, you know, not many people can, you know, they don't put up with stuff like that. So I end up having not many friends up there. And my brother said, come back to Melbourne. So I did, you know, and I'm still down there. And so basically, I just think that, man, you said the question about what was it like going through it, or what was it like getting out of it?
What were you like when you came out of 3 years of insomnia?
When I come out of it, well, okay.
I mean,
But it's a gradual thing again, you know. I started to get a little bit of sleep, you know, and then I'll tell you what, man, my relationship to sleep's really interesting now, because even last night I probably got 1 hour, you know. But the thing is, like, you know, when I had insomnia, not only was I, you know, in bed through the night, but I was in bed in the day too, because I had no energy and I couldn't get out of bed, man.
do you think it was that? Yeah, I mean, I've known. Yeah, and I actually had a couple of periods like that in my life, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't having insomnia and not sleeping at all, but I was in a kind of a deep depression,
Yeah.
and I laid in bed a lot all day.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is very depressing. What, you know, obviously what I was going through, because my energy levels were so low, I really couldn't get out of bed. You know, but the thing is, you know what was really weird when I think about it now? There was a big period of time there where I just needed to have water on me. So I was staying in a bungalow at my son's house there at one stage for a few months, and I reckon I hopped in the shower there probably about 50 times a day, and I even, you know, there was no towels
Did
because
you?
the
Did
towels.
you? I mean, did you get any type of understanding or come to any understanding of what was going on? You know, and again,
What made it happen? What triggered it to happen? Well, it happened twice, Todd, because the first time, that was 2008. The first time was 1996 when I come back
okay.
from Egypt. I come back from Egypt to say, and I was away for 1 year that time. So I'd already been through it, you know what I mean? So, look, the good news is this, is that this relationship to sleep is, if I go to bed and I go to sleep and I wake up, I get straight out of bed. You know, even if I've been asleep 1 hour, I just get up, because, you know, I went through this period of time where, you know, I'd lie down and I'd, you know, just want to go to sleep, want to go to sleep, want to go to sleep. And when you want to go to sleep and you're lying in bed, it doesn't happen. It works quite the opposite way. You know, it keeps you awake. You know, so I don't look. What I'm saying is that I don't judge how much sleep I have anymore. It doesn't bother me, because the fact is, you know, if I were to worry about the fact that I only get about 3 or 4 hours now, but if I were, and people say, well, you need 7 or 8 hours, you know, and I say, well, who told you that? You know, like, the thing is that I'm fine. So if I'm fine, you know, like, why would there need to be a judgment on how long I'm getting? Because who makes these rules anyway? You know, like, you know, how much, you know what I mean? Like, seriously,
So
you know,
you went
who's
to
to say,
wait.
you know?
Did you? Let me. Okay. So you mentioned it happened twice, and the first time
Yeah.
you were. Was it both times you were coming back from Egypt, or the first time?
No, one was Egypt, one was India.
Okay, that's right. When was Egypt?
Mm,
So
mm.
okay, you're going to Egypt in the '90s, India in 2007 or eight.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what were you doing? I mean, were you seeking something? Were you were you already awake? I mean, you know, what
That's
was
funny.
happening? What was
Okay,
happening? What was happening?
well,
What no, tell me what was happening with you to make you want to go to Egypt in the
uh,
90s, and what happened to you, if anything, in Egypt?
okay, well, so what happened? For 25 years, I was a tattooist. That's what I did for a job, tattooist.
Right.
And and it was the first time, 95, I went over. I did a few different countries, but Egypt was in 95. And I did, I think it was a round the world trip where it was about like 5 or 6 countries I did. But the reason I was tattooing and I had a business, and and what happened was actually the guy that owned the actual premises, my landlord didn't want me there because he didn't want to tattoo us in the premises. So when my lease was up, he kicked me out, and I thought, well, if I'm going to open another studio, I'll have a break, you know. So that's why I took a holiday. But the Egypt thing was intentional because I think, you know, from a teenager, there was something, I don't know, something about the pyramids, or I don't know what it was, but something drew me there. But, you know, put it this way, man, I wouldn't go back there. I mean, I don't need to. I've seen all I need to see there. But you know, the India thing, you asked me what was I doing. Well, man, I had some great experiences in India because
like what happened? Tell me something that happened.
Okay, in India. Okay, so I ended up in a place called Rishikesh up the Ganges River there. That's where the Beatles, you know, went to their ashram there.
Okay.
And I'm sitting on the Ganges River there, like it was quite up north up there. The water's quite clean, you know, so you can swim in. So I'm just sitting there, like it's like a beach, and this Indian guy, you know, come up to me and he said to me, he said, "Do you mind if I sit down with you?" And I said, "Sure." I was on my own. I was traveling on my own. So he sat down, and you know, I do things often without thinking. I said to, I had some stuff called charis. You know, charis.
No. What is that?
It's like hash. You know, it's like
okay.
it's a bit
Now
smaller.
this is over there. Okay. And so what
This
happened?
is in India, yeah. So I had a little bit of this on me. Someone had given it to me, just a little bit. So this guy was a sadhu, you know, like a traveling nomadic sort of, you know, dude, you know, and he was just on his own, and most of them do have a smoke if they can get it. So I had this little bit of stuff, and I brought it out and I said, did you want to have a smoke together? And he was like fully into it because that's what he does when he can, you know. So we ended up having a smoke together. 3 hours later, man, like we're sitting on. It's funny, man. Like he was like Indian, and for 3 hours, it's like he spoke clear English. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like when I met him, I couldn't understand him, and then when we got stoned, it was like I could understand everything he was saying. You know, and you know what I mean? And so we get along really well, and I caught up with him probably about 6 times after that because he was just a good guy, and he took me around, showed me a few places, but he actually he changed something about my life because one of the things that I was going to mention to you about having a chat was that you know, often, you know, you watch people talk about stuff, and especially spiritual stuff, and I think it's pretty important if you're going to discuss anything on that level or practice anything on that level, that there's got to be some transformation made, because I don't see the point in talking about something if nothing changes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I am with this guy, and you know, and I guess I just kept on hanging with him, thinking I'm getting, you know, it's like I was getting something out of it, and you know, like the conversation was going somewhere, and it was like I didn't want to end the conversation because, you know, I knew something was coming. And at the end, he said to me, he goes, I want to give you a mantra. And I hadn't used mantras at that point. And so I had a diary and I wrote it in there. It was Om Namah Shivaya, you know, Shiva. And so I was like, Om Namah Shivaya, you know, and I'm like, okay. And in Rishikesh, man, like you got the trinity of you know, Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva, but Shiva is the main god, not the other two. And the statues of Shiva everywhere up there, and it's like all of a sudden I'm like, Shiva, like, so all I could think about was Shiva. I'm like, I've got everything I could get on Shiva. And in fact, when I come home, I even painted him, you know, and I chant Om Namah Shivaya every day for months and months and months. Now, if you know anything about Shiva, like, you know, he's the, well, in Hindu philosophy, he's basically the god of destruction, but and creation. But if you look at it a bit more expanded, he's actually the god of the destruction of the ego and the destruction of illusion. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is pretty cool, because if you look at those two things, you know, the destruction of ego and the destruction of illusion, well, you end up with the truth, right? So I'm just like, you know, like chanting. and I think that mantra, particularly after India, I think that because when I started not sleeping, my life fell apart, and
Do you
like
think? I
my
mean, you went into these long bouts of insomnia
yeah
once after Egypt, once after India. Do you think
yeah.
that I mean, I don't know. I'm just taking a stab in the dark. Do you think that these experiences you had over there, while you were there, your frequency just raised so high that when you came back into a lower frequency, you just crapped out?
Yeah, possibly, but your pun "stab in the dark" was, or I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that, because I actually thought, like, because of like some of the places I went and some of the people I was associating with, like, because I didn't know these people, if you know what I mean. Like, these are
So you're
street
saying
people.
you're saying that you might have picked up some bad energy or something?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think about it now, but at the time, especially Egypt, like in Cairo, and because we had a lot of things go wrong in Cairo, and also in India, I was on my own and I was smoking chariot every day, and who knows what I picked up? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but for it to happen in two different countries
yeah,
and the same thing happen,
yeah,
and knowing that we're energy at the end of the day,
mm,
that's interesting. It's interesting too because like I've been to Sedona a few times, and
mm,
other than the last time, there's always been some pretty wild extremes happen, dimensional,
mm.
physical, the whole nine yards. That's trippy though. So you've been on this path since at least the '90s, right?
Well, when you say about that, being awake and all that, like if I look back, see, I'm not someone that would have thought that I was even attempting to do anything like that, if you know what I mean. See, like for me, ever since I was young, like, for instance, I was going out till midnight when I was 14. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
I just like adventure. I like exploring things. I like going to parties. I just wanted to
Like playing the
show.
guitar.
Yeah, like I got my studio right behind me there. Yeah, I got my
Yeah,
guitars there. But no, I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is the thing about timing. When I talked about like when I feel like going out, because you know, if you wait till that moment where you know what you want to do, you know what I mean? You know you want to go out now. I want to go now.
yeah.
It's amazing what happens, eh? But like it's like someone forces you to do something. Like, can you come with me now? And you're like, I don't want to, but okay. Well, you're in a space of like, I don't know, maybe you're not open to receiving anything good happening when you go out, because you don't even want to be out. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just saying that I tend to, on the comments on your live feed yesterday, I think you were talking to, I don't know, Jen, is it Jen?
Yeah, Jen
Yeah,
Reynolds.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was on her. It was on her interview, and I had a couple of your followers, comment to me, because basically what I was saying was that I tend to move through life, without thinking, in a way of like I just respond to things, like, I don't know what it's like, even like, getting ready to talk to you. I was aware, what the time was to a point, but then I thought, I'm not going to sit around and wait. So, I went down the street to do a couple of things. And, it's funny because when I actually completed what I needed to do, it's 10 minutes before I need to talk to you. And it's like, isn't that interesting timing how it works out like that? Because you just seem to be in the right place at the right time all the time. And I said to your friend on the comments, I really don't. I don't process. It's no need to process anything. It's just like, you're just responding. It's like, what, it's a practice. I'll tell you why. Because it's knowing what it's what turns you on, Todd. Like, if I feel like doing something, it's because I feel it. I feel like, because I feel like I want to do it, and obviously I feel like I want to do it because it's going to make me feel good, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's all I do, man. I follow whatever it is that feels good, because and going back to what I was like when I was younger, I tended not to know that that was even available to me. You know what I mean? Like, because I think when I was younger, I used to analyze a lot, and I thought that was really cool, that You know, and I tell you what, there's a negative side to analysing, and that's manipulation. And I became a very good manipulator because you can analyse situations and you'd work them out to your advantage. You know,
self manipulation.
So
Self manipulation.
So honestly, I had a conversation with a guy the other month, you know, about this, and his mother's a professor at a uni, and he sort of he's been studying at private schools and stuff, but he always wants to debate me, and he said to me, talked about, and I made the comment that I said, listen, I don't think, and he said, of course you think. And I said, look, what I mean by that is that I have a thought, but I don't hang on to thoughts at all. You know what I mean? Because it's like an idea, man. Like, I get ideas all the time. And the idea might be to go out, but like, I think they're pretty good ideas. But the thing is, I act on them, you know what I mean? And so it was the thought, like the good idea is the thought, like, then I act on it. So what happens is it's not a thought anymore. It's done. It's gone. I did it, you know what I mean? So I used to call it inspirational action. I just act on my ideas, man, and that's how I respond to things, because it's like if you practice doing that, then the whole day's full of it. The whole day's full of it. Even when I stop talking to you, like I'll go off, do something else. You know what I mean? Like but I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there is a like a quality to you that's very much in the moment. That you know what I mean? People talk about being in the moment, but really being in the moment is being present, which you do have the thoughts. It's almost like a walking meditation. So you sit down and sit down and do a standard meditation. A thought comes in, you let it pass through, and then you go on and on and on. And that's pretty much what you say you're doing. And you're present with what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, see, the thing is, man, as I get older,
it's almost like a child. It's almost like a childlike wonder quality.
Yeah, someone said that to me once, and I was.
It is. It's like a childlike childlike wonderment.
Well, when a child plays in a playground with other children, they might have little arguments, but they hang on to nothing, do they? They just move on. They keep on moving on, and that's it, man. I honestly don't look back at all, Todd. I don't look back at my life at all anymore. But the thing is, what I was going to say is with and you mentioned the child. I was just to make a comment about look. I think at the end of the day, yes, what I was going to say. Look, being 60 years old, man, it's got nothing to do with time, like how old I am, but other people your age, mention things about age and stuff, and I thought one day, I come out with this comment. I said, well, you get to a certain point and there's only two questions left. And those questions are how long and what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like how long you got and what are you going to do with your time, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I think, man. It's like, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, man. But the thing is, I often see so many men older than me, like 70s and 80s and that. And they're just not happy, man. And it's like, whoa, what was that all about? Like, if you got to 80 and you're not happy, does that mean that like your whole life was a waste of time? I mean, even if you were happy at one point, but you're not happy when you're older.
Yeah.
Well, the fact is you're not happy now, I'm just not going to let that happen to me, because it's like, you know what I mean? I'll just push through, whatever it is, because, I tell you what, man, when you're doing what you want to do.
I mean, you had a cop knock on your window, you had a fire, you got a speeding ticket. You just move past it, all of it. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, even if it's like getting an award or getting a bonus check or.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What else happened, Todd? When I had the fire here, they put me into a hotel, about 20 minutes from here. And I was there actually 5 months because it took a while to fix the house. And I got back to the house and they were repairing the house, and the guy that was like cleaning the walls from the fire damage, the smoke damage, we were talking, and he said to me, he goes, he talked about this hotel that I was in. I said, that's where I stayed. He goes, oh yeah. And he said, yeah, I had to quote a job down there. I said, oh, what happened? Because it was in lockdown, there was no one there. And he said there was a flood, there's 5 floors of rooms, and he said there was a flood, and it flooded every room on every floor. And I said, what floor did it start on? And he said the 8th, because it was 8 down to 5 or whatever, 4. I said 8, yeah. I said, what room? What end of the hallway was it? And he, you know what it was, man? It was like the fiery sprinklers, whatever it was, burst. Yeah. It was right outside my door. So I had a fire here. I had a flood at my house, outside my home. What's going on there, right? What's going on? And now what the hurricane's going to come now? I don't know, man. But you know,
man, that's some wild energy, man. You got a pretty wild, diverse vortex going there. Well, you're like the eye of the hurricane now. You're calm.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, man, if there was a hurricane like come around my house now, I really wouldn't freak out, you know. In fact, I'd probably go and walk out in it, you know, and think, I'll just see if I could control it, you know. Like just stand there like some sort of like conduit, like stop it spinning, you know. Like I don't know, man. Like I don't know, you know. Like I don't know. Like I don't have much fear, you know. That's the thing that's gone. You know, because fear is the thing that stops you doing a lot of things, you know. But you know, like even like you know, your friend yesterday mentioned about fluid retention on the legs. Was that her? Lymphomia? Yeah. Well, I had the same thing, right? And you know, when I was going through, because you know, there's this thing going on, and I actually know that this is happening with me. That and you know, they refer to part of the ascension process as this carbon-based DNA being dissolved into a crystalline-based DNA. Now, it's really interesting because my body has changed like you wouldn't believe in the last year, you know? And part of the thing that happened with me was this waking up one morning with, you know, like swollen ankles for no reason, you know. But the thing is that it took me a while to work with that. And but what I'm getting at is people would say to me, "Oh, you know, your legs, look at your legs, look at your legs," and it's like, you know, basically it's like, you know, I'm thinking, mind your own business, man. Like it's, you know, like, you know, people need to like, and I was gonna say this before, man. Like, you know, I'm pretty cool, you know what I mean? Like with life, you know, I'm pretty much at peace, and I'm pretty happy. But you know what, man? You bump into people you know, people you don't know, and the only comment you get out of them is a critical comment, like something negative, like, you know, that someone comes to your house and it's like, you know, that my dog, you know, wouldn't wake up the other day, you know. What's wrong with your dog? What's wrong with your dog? And it's like, there's nothing wrong with my dog. Like, you know, what are you saying that for? You know, like, you know, you the only comment you make coming into my house is that there's a problem with my dog, and there actually isn't a problem with my dog. But obviously you got my attention now, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, I had to go tend to my dog with, you know, you said there's a problem with the dog.
Suggesting an alteration of your consciousness. That's what I've learned from you today. How do you respond to something trying to alter your consciousness?
Well, the thing is, man, I don't let anyone affect me anymore, you know, because...
No, I'm just saying that's what I learned. That's what I learned from you today. Yeah, we got a little bit.
Well, the thing is, man, it's, you know, there's another saying I have, man, like, you know, life's a choice, not an obligation, right? I mean, I'm not obliged to agree with anybody. I'm not obliged to have to do anything for anybody.
That's
you know, it's my life. It's my life, man. I do what I want, you know.
That's right, man.
You know, and I do what I want to do because it's my life, you know. And furthermore, like, you know, anybody else, man, do what you want to do, you know. Like
that's what my youngest kid. She's 18 now, but when she was about 13 or 14, she started telling me that. I do what I want. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I do what I want.
Yeah.
I knew there was some wisdom behind it. You know, if you can look past the extreme of it, man.
Well, as this started, I got a brother-in-law, an ex-brother-in-law that's sort of cleaning up his act at the moment, and I go around there and see him probably every 2 or 3 weeks just to support him. Now, the first time I saw him after a while, we talked about, you know, life and talked about like being, you know, enjoying your life and being happy. And he didn't know, what he could do about that. And I stopped and I simply said to him, I said, well, man, what do you like doing? And he said to me, he goes, oh, I like fishing. And I said, well, when was the last time you went fishing? He goes, oh, I can't remember. Well, man, go fishing, because like if that's what you like doing, then obviously that's going to be the thing that makes you enjoy what you do. And it's not, I don't like fishing myself, but that's got nothing to do with like what he does, So I just, everyone's different, right? Everyone likes different things, but
Yeah.
I just don't know why.
Do what you want.
No?
Do what you want. Do what you want. It's your life.
Well, there's a song here, and it was written in the 60s by an Australian band called Masters Apprentices. And Morgan might know the band, but the song's do what you want to do, be what you want to be. Yeah.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Dude, we got a late start, and I got another show starting in 8 minutes. But
no worries, man.
Going to an hour with you is like a fast track, man. I totally dug it. You're a cool dude. We have to do it again sometime, maybe next year.
Yeah, no worries, man. I said to Morgan when she sent the thing the other day, I said, because like I said, I made the comments on your post that day, and I thought, oh no, he's going to take it the wrong way. Because one of the comment I actually made, if you remember, one of the ones was that, I watch people's live feeds, and I'm not talking about yours, but like just people that come live on Facebook, and I know a few people that do it. And there's two different types of people. One, the person that has they've got meaning in what they're doing. And then there are other people that are really attention seeking, And my comment, I said, Todd, can you help me out? I said, like, do you find that some people that do live streams, you think that they're looking for attention? And then was the one I thought, oh, I shouldn't say that to him because he's going to think you're talking to someone from England.
I wouldn't give it to you.
You're talking to someone from England.
And honestly, that's I wouldn't give it two shits. But but obviously, and okay, let me say it this way. That's why I admire anybody that picks up the phone, the camera, whatever, turns on the camera and goes live, because I don't even care if they're, you know what I mean? It's like they're showing everything to you. So yes, there is a level of getting attention. I mean, there's all kinds of dynamics, but I have a respect, and I don't resonate with too many people, but I do respect people that turn it on, and because I'm just like, wow. And like I say here, I am soul. That's another way to say that is I'm not afraid to show my ass, because sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. the last thing, the thing I'll leave you on is this. When I talked to Morgan, I said, because I don't know, we don't really know each other, obviously, because I just joined your group maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I did an interview with Anna from Portugal, and that's how I found you.
Oh, Anna? Anna Sprita.
Yeah. So she's great. And we had a chat, and we've done 2, and I don't usually do it, and somehow I ended up in your group. But I said to Morgan, I said, it's really interesting that you said you'd have a chat to me doing this, because I'm thinking, God, we don't even know each other, and I'm thinking, but it made me think, oh, Tom must be pretty cool, man, because it's like some people wouldn't do it, they go, who is this person? I'm not going to take a chance on talking to some dude
that's so like
that's
no, it's pretty cool. We've had 2,400 shows, and I bet we've probably, shoot, at least 1,500 shows would have to be people that I didn't know. Nobody knew. You see them out on the making comments or something.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about. All right, man. Let's do it again. I got to get going.
Right,
we got a show in 5 minutes. We're with Keith Anthony Blanchard of the Center of Light. He's a very good dude, like this guy. Yeah. In fact, they're very much alike. He might even be the American version of him. Memphis, Tennessee. And by the way, he plays the guitar very well and the bass.
Well, there you go. You don't have a makeup artist, do you, Todd?
Do I know a makeup artist?
No, do you have one for your shows? That's what I'm saying.
Hell no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I got bad.
No, I'm just joking. All right, mate.